Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of week again. Here we are. We've got another amazing James Whale radio show.
James Whale, the voice of reason on the James Whale radio show.
May I say thank you very much indeed for a very warm welcome. Thank you, and thank you for all your massive letters or your cards and Rob here. Rob's very happy to be here, of course. Rob's had lots of flowers and bouquets, and loads of people have been in touch with him this week, haven't they?
Do I have to lie?
Well, no. I mean, haven't you had an enormous amount of fan mail this week?
No, but I send it all to you. It's always addressed to James, care of Rob.
Oh, don't you get... Oh, I'm so surprised. You don't get any. Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Well, what a shame. Well, never mind. Maybe we can cheer you up by doing the show.
Okay.
Because I know you look forward to this little hour of the week where you are allowed to leave your rather mundane life behind just for an hour or so of fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So should we just go through a bit of housekeeping on the programme? Welcome all those of you who've never listened before. I'm James Whale. This is the James Whale Radio Show. Not to be confused with anything else I do. This is the James Whale Radio Show that comes just out of my head and into whatever you are using to listen to. You might be on a phone. It might be on a laptop. It might be on an iPad. You could be getting us down from iTunes. You could be listening to us on a radio station. You could be listening. But, oh, by the way, apparently, Rob, we are very big in Saudi Arabia at the moment.
Yes, so I hear. I don't know why.
Bit of a worry.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if any of our fans in Saudi Arabia are listening, I would very much like one of those Arab headdresses. You know, the black and white squares or the red and white squares that are very fashionable in Saudi. I'd quite like one of those.
I'd like a stick of rock.
They don't do sticks of rock.
Don't they?
No,
All
I don't
that
think so.
Sand and beaches, and they don't do rock.
No. As far as I understand it, there is no rock in Saudi Arabia, unless, of course, anybody else can tell us differently. And if you can, please feel free. Get in touch. Let us know. Now, we've not had any complaints this week, and I find that strange.
Yeah, it's almost like the man in the Royal Mail van is just binning them on our behalf.
Well, I hope he isn't. I mean, it does entertain me to listen to some of the complaints occasionally. So please, don't be shy. And you can send them to me at jameswhaleradio@gmail.com. jameswhaleradio@gmail.com. That will find us. Now, we did have a very nice letter from somebody this week as well, didn't we? A nice email.
Oh, yes.
It went on a long time. And perhaps you'd just like to say hello to the person who sent in. Doctor, it was a doctor, wasn't it?
Yeah, Doctor, I don't actually have it with me. I didn't think we were going to mention it.
Well, of course we're going to. Why did you bring it with you?
Well,
for goodness sake.
It was from another universe.
Well, I know. I rely on you. I thought it was a very nice note from the good doctor, who may well be listening again, and you've not brought it. Well, can we bring it next week?
Well, I'll look it up while you're talking, and I'll get back to it.
Good. Well, carry on about that. We have had firework night, of course, which was a bit of a damp squid, to be honest with you. I've moaned about fireworks. I'm not going to do that anymore. I think I've had enough. I am going to be talking to an old friend of mine, a man called Adrian Munsey. Now, you probably have never heard of Adrian Munsey, but he's a character, to say the least. He's a character, to say the least. Anything from film producing, directing, to making money. He's quite coy about his money, but there we are. He's written books, and he has just produced some music. It's rather interesting. He loves classical music. And I think for the first time ever, we're going to play just a couple of minutes of classical music that Adrian actually composed. And then he got the City of Prague Philharmonic Orchestra to put this together. And he got some very attractive young ladies to sing. We'll talk to him a little bit later on. He is a character, so we will do that later. Now, did you find that bit that I was asking you to get hold of or not?
I'm still looking. I'm looking in the sent mail. I sent it to you. Hang on.
Okay. Go through the what? You're going on the computer to the sent bit. I just wanted to mention, because I thought it was just nice that a doctor should be listening to the programme. Not only have we had quite a lot of mail and loads of people following me on Twitter, and Facebook from the Middle East. So very, very big up to all of you, to those of you listening in America. And what a shame, America, the once great nation. And we are, actually, I better be careful, we are broadcast through a couple of American radio stations. I think I'm right in saying, aren't we, Rob?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Well, here it is. Listen, I love it. You know, America and Britain, we have a lot in common, least of all the language. But here's the thing, and please get in touch and let me know how you feel about this. But the recent elections, of course, in America, where now the Republicans have sort of kicked out the Democrats from the Senate, it's a very strange political system in America. It just means that the president of America is actually not able to get anything he wants through Parliament. He might be a Democratic president, but the Republicans rule the roost in America. And the thing about the America, and they go the great democracy of America, only 1/3 of people who could vote in America bothered to turn out and vote. 2/3 of the American voting population didn't bother to get off their fat backsides and make their democracy work. And if you want to get in touch with me and let me know over the next few weeks why that is, jameswhaleradio@gmail.com and let me know. Or follow me on Twitter @TheJamesWhale. Now, Rob, have you found it?
I have, yes. It's from Dr. David Earth.
Dr. David Earth.
Yeah.
Now, Dr. Earth, thank you so much indeed. It was very nice of you to get in touch, I thought. And so good of you to take the time to write to us and to observe all the things that you observed.
He's floating around in space in a cloaked ship called the Athena.
Yep.
And he likes our humour.
Well, it's very good of him to get in touch. And please, when he's next in this vicinity, the vicinity of Earth, drop in and say hello.
Well, if he drops in, wouldn't he set off a massive earthquake and tsunami?
Well, hopefully not. No, I mean, obviously, I hope he will know how to drop in without causing that sort of fuss. But please, and in future, Rob, don't lose the emails from interesting people.
I didn't lose it. I filed it under sent items. Well, actually, no, it did that automatically.
Right, listen, I want to talk about the new Ford Kuga, which I'm driving from Ford at the moment, and I have one parked outside the house. We'll put some photographs. I think we've got a photograph up there somewhere. We'll put some more up over the next few weeks. I'm test driving the Ford Kuga, and it's got nothing to do with older women going out with younger men. Anyway, so I went to the big Ford factory the other day where they develop cars. And did you see I put some pictures out of me with the crash dummies as well?
Couldn't find you. I had to look really hard in the picture, and then you were at the back.
Oh, shut up. Couldn't find me. Anyway, I nearly got into trouble when I was in the Ford place because I wanted to go and take some pictures of this. It was a car wearing an overcoat.
Right.
And I went through, it's huge. I was knackered by the time I'd been for a walk round. It is a car wearing an overcoat. And I went up and had a look, and I was dragged out. I say, hang on, fascinating. You've got a car over here wearing what looks like an overcoat. James, yes, could you come away? James, could you come away? I said, why? That's a prototype of something very exciting and very new that Ford are bringing out.
Jackets for cars.
No, because they don't want anybody seeing what it is. They put this huge coat on it with spoilers and things, none of which are on the car, by the way, just so you can't see the shape of the car or what it's going to be like.
Was that put on just because you were there, or is it on all the time?
Well, because I think because people wandering in and having a look round, and they just want to be absolute. And even the people who work there, only the designers and the people working on this car actually truly know what it's looking like. So that somebody can come in and they can be working on the engine of this car, but because the whole of the car is in this big jacket, they don't actually know. You can sit in the driver's seat if you have to do some technological whatever they do, but you can't get a feeling because you get in there and it's all blacked out in the car and it's wearing this coat so that you can't see what it's like. Fascinating.
It'd be nice and warm while you drive.
Well, yes, absolutely, absolutely. But anyway, back to the Kuga, which is a new model coming out in the new year. I'm very impressed with the way it drives. They've given me one to test, which has got too much stuff on. That's the only thing I would say.
What, like a scarf?
Oh, and well, no, it's got a little function where it parks the car for you.
Oh, that's handy.
Well, no, it frightened the life out of me. You press a button, and all you do, you take your hands off the steering wheel, and the car puts the car can just park it up to the curb.
What happens for insurance purposes if it crashes? Is it your fault or the car's?
It's a good question. I've no idea. It's also got this thing called lane assist. So if you stray out of the lane you're supposed to be driving in,
Yeah.
without signalling, it feels like you've got a flat tire. It frightened the life out of me until I realised what it was.
It sort of vibrates the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you get too close to the car in front, it tells you off.
What, it shouts at you?
Yeah, well, it goes beep, 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 or something like that. And then the other thing, if you reverse, it's got a little camera in the back.
Uh-huh.
Which is weird.
Handy, though.
Well, yeah, but it's got so much stuff on it. I said to the chap, I said, I can't, is there a sat nav? Oh, yes. I said, well, where is it? Well, you've got to go into the computer and I'm thinking, I better work this out before you drive anywhere.
Can you not say to them, can I have the car for a few more months so I can test all the features?
No, because I want to go and try another one. I mean, we're going through the Ford range at the moment.
Oh, I see.
Giving people an idea.
Okay. There's more to come.
Well, yeah. So the Kuga at the moment. So and I can imagine it would be a nice family car. It's quite big. It's 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive is what they say now. And you're up high, so you get a good view, and it's nice. It feels nice to drive, very nice. But I'll get some pictures, and we'll talk more about it. We'll put pictures up as well, and anybody wants to check it out, go to your local Ford dealer and tell them James Whale sent you. Might be worth a few bob off. You never know. Say, James Whale said I might be able to get a discount on this.
Some free car mats.
Yeah, free car mats is always good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's move on. I'm sort of babbling on here, aren't I? Really.
It's your show. You babble.
I know. I can. Let me babble on about something else for just one moment. And in fact, why don't we do your tech talk piece right here?
Do we have to?
Yeah, because you said to me you wanted more involvement in the show. And I said, what can you do? And you said, well, I know all about technology.
I've only got one fan, Tony Fisher.
Yeah, well, Tony Fisher downloads the program and listens regularly, and he loves all that technical stuff. So if you dedicate this bit to Tony Fisher,
okay,
as we say in the radio business, Tony Fisher,
Tony Fisher, this is for you.
Yeah.
Antiviruses. Let's talk about antiviruses products.
I thought we were going to talk about antibiotics.
No, well, it's antibiotics for your computer.
Oh, right, okay, go on. Yeah.
I often wonder what the point is, because they never work.
Well, why do we pay a lot of money to have these put on our computers?
I think it's because when you buy your new computers from the big sheds, they come preloaded, and after 30 days, they almost act like a virus themselves and contaminate your screen saying, you're at risk, pay me some money, your trial is expired. So you do. And then you get in this yearly trap of paying and paying and paying and paying. And the worst bit is, the most common ones, and I think we all know which ones we're talking about, they're the ones that the people that write the viruses target first. And it takes them months to realise that these viruses are out there, so they don't do anything.
So you would say it's a waste of money having all these antivirus things put on your computer?
Yes, because there are plenty of free ones that do the job just as well.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah. Because you think about it.
Is that why you fiddled around with my computer the other day and took all these things off and told me not to bother to pay?
Yes.
You sure it wasn't just because you wanted to get in and look at my private photographs?
I could do that anyway.
Can you?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Anyway, right, my point is, these antivirus products, they're about 40-odd quid on average. And when you do get a virus, what you're going to do, you're going to have to take it to a computer shop and you're going to have to pay them 40, 50 quid to get rid of the virus. So you're
Well,
paying
if you have
twice.
the antivirus on, they just make sure you don't get a virus
No,
on
they
there.
never work. The amount of machines on a daily basis, I see at least 5 or 6 machines come into our shop with viruses on, with all the well-known antivirus products. They don't work.
What about firewalls?
There's already one in Windows anyway.
But don't you need extra ones?
No, do you know what? You know when you buy a firewall, an expensive firewall, the only thing it's doing is telling you all the time, I block this, I block that, I block this, I block that. Do you know why it's doing that? So at the end of the year, you remember, oh, that firewall did its job.
Well, that's sneaky, isn't it?
Yeah, you're at risk.
Yeah.
Pay me some more money.
I'm not. I'm not
Upgrade.
paying you any more. And that's demanding money with menaces, so just be very careful.
I wouldn't mind if you did get a virus and you didn't catch it. I wouldn't mind if you phoned up the antivirus company you bought the product from and say, listen, I got a virus, can I have a refund? That should happen. But
Well, can you do that then?
No, you can't.
Well, we could try. I mean, has anybody ever tried?
I don't think so.
All right, okay. Well, that was very useful, wasn't it, for everybody to know? I'm just going to tear that up then. I was just about to pay for a new firewall.
Don't pay for a new firewall. Don't pay for a new antivirus. Just try some free ones.
Okay. Right. Shall we call up Mr. Adrian Munsey and have a chat with him?
What, and talk about firewalls?
No. I tell you what we've not done on this program over the year. We've never really done culture, have we?
Are you saying I'm uncultured?
Well, I think there's a lack of culture, and people think that's not. Let's talk to my old friend Adrian Munsey, and he lives in Soho in London. What a great place to live, eh? All that music, all that sort of the smell of Soho, the grit of Soho. Some might say the dirt of Soho, the underbelly of life. But you know, people who live there really love it. I haven't been into Soho for a few months now. I think I'm missing. I think we'll have to go and have a night out.
In Soho?
Yeah, do a couple of the bars, you know, go and hang out with some of the people.
Okay.
Adrian's a very cultured gentleman, so I don't want you to embarrass me in front of him, all right?
Why? I'm just going to turn my mic off.
I think that's probably very wise. Why don't we take a commercial break and then talk to Adrian?
Would you like a free audiobook? Our friends at Audible are giving everybody a free audiobook just by going to the James Whale Radio Show website, jameswhaleradio.co.uk. All you need to do is click on the Audible link, register, and you'll get your free audiobook. It's a bit like a book club, and remember, you can leave at any time and you still get to keep your free audiobook. So what are you waiting for? Just head over to the James Whale Radio Show website, jameswhaleradio.co.uk, and click on that Audible link now.
Now, Adrian Munsey. Now, Adrian, you are an unusual character, to say the least. So let's start off right from, how would you describe yourself? Entrepreneur? Would you describe yourself as a composer, a filmmaker? How would Adrian Munsey describe himself to those people who haven't heard of him?
Well, I suppose I'm a media person, James, and I've perhaps spread myself a bit wide in the media I've wanted to use. So I've worked in film and television and books and music, but I suppose my big overriding interests are, well, I'm sort of split between Mr. Businessman and Mr. Attempt at being an artist or something, so that may be the problem. But anyway, I'm having another go at really hitting the centre of things or something.
Why do you keep doing this to yourself, Adrian? I mean, you could just sit back, surely, and watch the money roll in.
That's a really good question. And if I don't want to sound too serious, but you sometimes have this pressure of something that you want to communicate or share, really. And I suppose my moments of greatest happiness and satisfaction, I suppose, are when you've done something which other people like, or you share it with them. Something sort of passes both ways between you, and I suppose that's been a drive almost, even a compulsion. And I have tried to stop, I must say, but I am taking the pills, but they don't seem to be working.
How did you start in life? What did Adrian Munsey, the schoolboy, aspire to do?
Well, that's a really good question. I think after engine driving, I sort of moved on from that and sort of perhaps wanting to fly a plane and things like that. But at school, I suppose it was a kind of impact of a mixture of music and literature. I mean, literature is a rather grand word, isn't it? Novels and the idea of the lives that people had led and what they'd said and expressed and heard. It sort of became something I wanted to be involved with, and I worked at an advertising agency just before I went to university, and I just was exposed in 1965 to sort of everything that was going on, and it was like a bit of a bolt from the blue. And then I went to university, and I came into contact with even more interesting things, and I designed the magazine there, and I put on productions and all the rest of it. And so, I don't know, one's compulsions got amplified.
How did you make your first £1,000?
Well, that's another extremely good question. I won't try and think of it for too long. I think it was driving Americans around England, because when I was discotheque. I had a mobile discotheque. I think it might just have made 1,000, but not at a profit. But I did do some really good discotheques. I don't think it's the only thing I was, better at most people at was being a disc jockey. And I must say I had some, can't resist the odd name drop, but I had some amazing people coming to my discotheque. And Elton John got one of his first bookings, and all kinds of people came along.
Where did you have the discos?
Well, it was at the Royal College of Art. I was at the film school, and you're surrounded by wonderfully talented people. Tony Scott was in the year above me. We didn't think he was that good, which showed what we knew. You were surrounded by wonderful people. And after university, I felt it was a bit, how should we say, it wasn't as friendly as my nice college had been. So I sort of started running a discotheque in order to get people together, I suppose. And I loved it, Stax, Motown, Jefferson Airplane, that sort of thing.
Well, that was in the day. I mean, I was in London and in working in discos sort of around about the same time. And you probably went to Le Kilt, where all the stars of the day hung out.
I might have, I remember that, yes. But it's like in a film, it goes misty, and you go back in time. It's happening now, I think.
When you'd done that for a while, and you knew Elton John, and you knew various people in the business, when did you then decide that you wanted to sort of be a producer and start trying to put things together, rather than being the central performer? Well,
you see, I made a disastrous mistake when I left the film school. That I was offered a job by Granada as a trainee director, but I absurdly, and this is a long time ago, said, "Oh no, I want to be an independent." And I spent most of the time since then trying to get back to doing what I could have done then. So it took me a bit of time. It wasn't until I ran to the back of a London bus that I realized that being a producer was better than trying to be a director or something like that. I tried to get the money for a landscape film. In fact, in my book, which has just come out, Images of Nature, in a way, that book is my consolation prize for the film I never made. And I was driving my Lancia, and I got the news about being rejected or given the money for a pilot or something. I was so disappointed. It was a very small dent in my car and no dent on the bus. And I realized then that what you've got to do is pay for it yourself. You're not going to get anywhere asking people for money, really. So that was what made me become a producer. It was I don't remember what bus number it was, at the Elephant and Castle roundabout. It knocked some sense into me. It took a bus to get a bit of sense into me.
But it wasn't that easy. You then had to go and make the money to be a producer, didn't you?
Well, I had art exhibitions and things like that, and I was always willing to use, my credit card or whatever to sort of finance things. And that sort of gives you the motive to somehow make some money to pay it back. And I just can't remember. I started a video company, James, and after I left, I ran a college department myself. I I taught in art schools, Chelsea, Maidstone, places like that. And then I became offered a job as the head of department. I ran it for 7 years. And when I left that, I saw video happening. And for some reason, I had a feel for films, because I suppose I taught films for a long time, and I'd made some. And so I bought films, and they sold. A wonderful film, Alan Alda in the Glass House, and it was an extraordinary hit. And that got me going in business. And again, it was a bit do-it-yourself. You see, buy it, put as good a sleeve on it as you can, and sell it like stink. And I was lucky then. I've lost as much as I've made often, but the main thing is that to keep going.
Is it just luck, or do you have to be tenacious?
I think there is a bit of luck in it. Obviously, a lot of people are going to media schools, they're going to media departments, they're learning a lot, but it's in their fingers almost, people with their iPads and their smartphones. A lot of young people, fantastically agile, they're interested in digital ideas, they're interested in music, and they have a facility. But you do have to get some basic awareness of how to do it. But I think, as I say, being a producer, it's almost, I'm not recommending saying you've got the money if you haven't, but saying you've got some money is quite a good idea, even if it's, your pocket money. Because I think saying you're going to do it, it's the Casanova factor. If you ask 20 times, you might get one yes. And that's what I think all a producer needs to know. Don't get downhearted. It's the Winston Churchill thing, asking what advice to give young people. He had said, I've got 6 words for you. Never give up. Never give up. And I think that's what I'd say, really.
Have you still got your movie channel as well? What was it? True Movies or
True Movies? Yes, I am now. I'm a consultant to it. And it's just all of the channels that a group bought the channels some time ago, 9 years ago, and Sony's now just bought the whole lot. We've got 4 True Movie channels in England and 1 in Africa and South Africa. So that actually has been the bread and butter, James. And indeed, any money I've made from that, I probably, how should we say, a mixture of risked, lost, and sometimes made in my other projects. I've always used my own resources. And sometimes if I was giving advice to people, I would say don't bet the family either. Otherwise you may find yourself banished to the bottom of the garden for some time.
Let's talk, Adrian, about this, your latest baby, if you like. It may not be everybody's cup of tea who's listening at the moment, but I think after hearing your story, be interested to see this is what you really would like to do. This is a piece of music that you composed, right?
The Agnus Dei, I did it with 2 young women from a group called Celeste. I'd been to a concert and a school had given, a Bromwood Hall School in South London, and these incredible parents, headmaster, headmistress, and children had built a school for orphans in Ethiopia, and they built it with their own hands, and it's free. And I was so touched being in this church, St. Luke's Church, at what these people had done, that I'd written a piece of music called The Distance Between, which a Canadian violinist, Aljo Jabot, had recorded. And I thought, look, I'd love to make this an Agnus Dei, Dona Nobis Pacem, give us peace. Because I thought these parents and children and teachers had closed the distance between. They closed some of the gap. And I thought it was an inspiring thing to witness. Ordinary people have done this amazing thing. And then I was introduced to 2 of the singers from Celeste, Catherine Hart and Nikki Kingston, and together with my arranger, Paul Bateman, we turned this, and it developed from that piece. I mean, Nikki and Catherine and Paul, they put a lot extra into it. Nikki and Catherine had been choristers at Wells Cathedral, so they knew their religious music. And, I mean, we're not laying on with a trowel of religious music. I want it to be very accessible. But, yes, I did it with 2 young women from Celeste, yes.
Let's have a listen to it. Adrian, that was lovely. People can, of course, download that from iTunes, can't they?
They can, yes. And it's being released as a single. And then the album, as it comes from, goes out in February. And it will be my fifth album, I think. Yes.
Well, nice bit of music to be playing over Christmas if you want something a little bit different to listen to.
Well, I'm glad you think it's Christmassy. I think it's very Christmassy. And when we were recording it, it was just, it's never happened to me before. It was a choir of 60 women, and I've never had 60 women sing for me before in my life. And it was the most wonderful experience, I can tell you. It was lovely.
What have you had 60 women do for you in your life then?
I couldn't count up beyond, I can hardly count to 10, really, and what anybody's ever no, don't think we'll go here. It was actually 13, it was double-tracked, James. It was actually, I must be honest, it was a choir of 13. They were from the Prague Opera, and the head of conducting at the Prague Conservatoire, and Paul Bateman conducted it, and it was just amazing to see 30 attractive women with beautiful voices singing music you'd been involved with.
Let me look. Just before you go, Adrian, I want to know, you live in the middle of Soho in London now.
I do, yes.
And you love Soho. Tell me why Soho is such a great place, because people have sort of different ideas about it, don't they?
Well, some people say it's a village, and it's still got a bit of community about it. We're fighting a battle to help make our surgery save our surgery, and we're doing quite well because there's a large Chinese community here, and I just feel at home here, and you feel at the centre of things a bit, and it's sort of a walled city, and it's full of people in the evenings, and everybody seems happy here, and it's sort of egalitarian in the best sense, it's got everybody's welcome, and yet it's also a sort of walled city. You've got Oxford Street to the north, and Shaftesbury Avenue to the south, and Regent Street to the west. We're safe here, you see.
Because some people think it's a very dangerous place to go, don't they?
It is true that if you say you live in Soho to anybody over a certain age, they imagine that you're a mixture of a sort of razor attack and sort of red light, but not at all. I'm living in what was my office, and a long time ago, and it's great, and I heartily recommend it.
Adrian, it's good to catch up with you again. I hope this is the real success you'd like it to be, and thank you very much indeed for your time.
Well, thank you very much, James. Fantastic to talk to you.
You are listening to James and Rob on the James Well Radio Show.
So welcome back, and good to talk to Adrian. And I think that's really nice. Check out his album. Go onto iTunes, put in Adrian Munsey, and have a little listen. Now, one of the things we've been talking about during the week on various programs that I have been involved in is the living wage. What is the minimum? I asked on Facebook earlier in the week, and I've asked it on several radio shows I've done. What's the minimum you could live on per hour? Should we replace the minimum wage with a living wage? Is that what we should do? I don't know. How much could you live on, Rob?
2 cans of Coke and a Mars bar.
See, I think you are grossly overpaid, but there we are. 2 cans of Coke and a Mars bar. Healthy living and a healthy mind and a healthy body is our Rob. Susan Jane said, not worth talking about, James. Powers that be will never adhere to it anyway. Oh, Susan, that's not really the attitude I expect from my listeners to the James Well Radio Show. And don't forget, join us if you are a new listener, jameswellradio.co.uk. If you haven't checked out the website, go there. Losing my voice. Glenn Ford, 60-year-old full-time support worker, care worker, not the actor, working with physically and mentally disabled clients. I get £7.45 an hour. In my opinion, very poor wages. I think that is. To be honest, that is, isn't it, really? To do jobs like that and at that age, you have my sympathy, and it must be very difficult. Steve Richardson says, I don't understand why we are told the living wage. Does it make any difference to what we get paid? My guess is no. Well, you have to be paid the minimum wage, but what people are saying is that the living wage is higher than the minimum wage. And quite frankly, the living wage, and you know, some of these, the living wage as well means that you would probably in certain circumstances have to claim benefits if, you know, depending on your circumstances. Surely you should be able to live without benefits on a wage that you work for. Now, having said that, how many companies would go broke if that was the case? On the other hand, there are companies, enormous amount of supermarkets, who make huge profits and who are paying their staff the lowest amount they can. Steve Richardson says he doesn't understand. Stevie Evans says, after an op to remove a growth and having suffered severe pancreatic deficiency, I'm getting £72 a week, out of which I have to pay back a crisis loan at £13 a week, leaving me with just £59 a week to live on. I've worked since I was 15 years old. I've paid into the system for 26 years, and according to the law, that would work out at £1.47 an hour if I was working a 40-hour week, which I was working around 60 hours before I became ill. And I mean, that's a terrible story as well. We hear stories about people, you know, living a great life on benefits. I don't believe anybody lives a great life on benefits. Of course, if you have, I don't know, 10 or 15 children, it makes quite a difference. Rob Renshaw says it'll be a vicious circle. The higher the minimum wage, the higher prices would climb. Kathy Hall says, do the MPs have to live on a minimum wage? No. Their lunch costs more than a week's wages for many. Jerry Napier says, I could live on £1,000 an hour if you don't mind. Yeah, that's about the level I think we should be on. If you pay £26,000 to people a year on benefits, then pro rata, the minimum wage should be the same. Loads and loads of people with all sorts of feelings on that. And I think, you know, you should, if you're working for a job, I suppose this isn't an ideal world. If you are working, you should be able to survive on what you're paid without having to claim benefits, shouldn't you? I'm going to play a bit of music from Sinking Violet, bit of an acoustic folk duo from West Yorkshire. You know, having lived a lot of my life and worked a lot in Yorkshire, I thought this would be rather nice. Founding members of Sinking Violet, Emma Lloyd and Peter Carter, and this is called Sweet Child of Mine.
She's got a smile that it seems to me reminds me of childhood memories where everything was as bright as the bluest sky. Now and then when I see her face, it takes me away to that special place. And if I stare too long, I'd probably break down and cry. Oh, sweet child of mine. Oh, sweet child of mine. Her hair reminds me of a warm, safe place where as a child I'd hide and pray for the thunder and the rain to quietly pass me by. She's got eyes of the bluest skies as if they thought of rain. I hate to look into those eyes and see an ounce of pain. Oh, sweet child of mine. Oh, sweet Oh, sweet child of mine. Oh, sweet child of mine.
Right, there we are. That was Sweet Child of Mine. And don't forget, if from Sinking Violet, you can download that, I'm sure, on iTunes as well. If you'd like to be on the program, get in touch with us, jameswhaleradio@gmail.com. And if you would like to get some music on the show, we'll tell you how you can do that. Don't forget to go and have a look at the website. Go to our shop, jameswhaleradio.co.uk/shop. Thank you. And all sorts of goodies for you to buy for Christmas, including Moi's autobiography, signed. What a great present that would make. Now, we finished the show with what you want to talk about this week, and we put it out during the week on Facebook, and you reply. Buster says, the real reason why Fiona Woolf stepped down, he wants to know. Fiona Woolf, of course, the last chair of the committee who are going to look into child abuse, stepped down. She stepped down because the people who, those people who've been affected by child abuse, didn't think she was right, thought that she was too much part of the establishment. They want somebody who isn't part of the establishment. Quite simply, Buster, that's why she stepped down. Jackie Grant. London is full of street entertainers. Are they licensed? Are they insured? It's an interesting point, Jackie. I don't know why you want to know that. Well, in some parts of London, they have to have a license to be a street entertainer, and they get thrown off their patch if they don't. Are they insured? I'm not sure. Would they have public liability insurance?
I think you have to present your public liability insurance to the council before you can street perform.
I bet you a lot of people just turn up with whatever and play and then disappear.
Mm.
But, you know, I think Camden has a very strict policy, and I think Westminster do too.
I think they should audition.
Well, they did that for the Underground.
Because some of the performers we have where we are absolutely terrible.
Yeah, but you live in Wales.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I think actually the Underground actually did audition, if my memory serves me well. And there are, you know, when you use the Underground in London, you probably don't do it very often. There are quite a lot of street performers there. But somebody put me, if I'm wrong on any of this, please put me right. Karen Bowman, one of our regulars. Hello, Karen. Care of the elderly. Winter is approaching. The government should be giving pensioners a decent credit towards heating costs and help with food bills over winter. Well, I think you're right. I think we treat our elderly appalling. When you consider the majority of people who do work hard, contribute, pay into the you know, that is what the majority of people do. The majority of older people now would have fought wars and all sorts for this country, and we just treat our old people appallingly. And our, you know, compared with other countries, we seem here to have less respect for our elders. Ray thinks my thought for the week is who is lying to whom about the cure for diabetes. I'm not sure if anybody's lying to anybody about that, Ray. I have to say I don't know where you're coming from with that. Is anybody lying about it? We're talking about the fact that people are getting too obese, people are eating too much sugar. I don't know. You'll have to lengthen that one. Gandhi says, my friend's a bus driver, and he's asked me to post this. He would like to know why the public think it's okay to abuse bus drivers and why they never get any tips at Christmas. Yeah, that's a good point, isn't it? You never think of... First of all, I don't know why anybody should abuse a bus driver. That's appalling. You should be ashamed of yourself if you do. Why do we give cab drivers tips and not bus drivers?
That is a good point. Maybe because they don't have a tips jar near the window at the front. Maybe think of doing that.
Why don't we have a tips jar like they have in in some cafes, hairdressers, places like that. Why don't we have a tips jar in the bus? And if you have a regular bus driver, you can stick in a tip. Coming to the end of time on the James Well Radio Show this week. Couple more. Dom from Medway says, yourself as usual, you're washed up whale. What's that supposed? Oh, he thinks I'm washed up. Is that Don Medway?
Well,
he wants to talk about myself. Oh, yeah. What would you like me to talk about? Yourself as usual, you washed up whale. That's fighting talk, Tom, isn't it? You're banned from this program, mate. And if you try, listen, you pillock, if you try and listen to this program again, I'll tell you what, Dom, something nasty will really happen to you.
I'll go round
and
visit.
You are banned.
And I'll sing.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen to you, Dom. Rob's going to come and sing through your letterbox. Prat. Right, okay. Paul Andrew says, why our rights, our health are being taken from us to allow fracking. Oh, that's a bit deep. Actually, we should do a whole thing about fracking.
It's a bit deep.
What?
You just made a joke then.
Why? What did I do?
That's
fracking?
That's a bit deep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hey, here's one. I think if we can get more gas and whatever out of fracking and not ruin the country, we should be doing it. I think we should be doing it, don't you?
If it's not ruining the country, yeah.
Right, let's finish on one. Let's finish on this one. Tony Gosling, he says, hello, Gozzy. Is the Queen really the richest person in the world? If so, why does she need more of our money to repair her palaces? If we're all in this together, then why isn't she making them available to the homeless? Well, Tony, why aren't you making your spare room available to the homeless? I don't think she is the wealthiest person in the world. And I think the palaces, basically, they belong to all of us, don't they? I think they belong to all of us, but I don't think we can go in there and live there. Any other thoughts you have, please post them up during the week at our Facebook page. Get in touch, James Well Radio, jameswellradio at gmail.com, and give us your thoughts for that. Any suggestions, or if you'd like to be on the programme, get in touch. But for now, thank you so much. Round of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your night, the rest of your afternoon or morning, whatever you're doing. Enjoy it. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
James Well, the voice of reason on the James Well Radio Show.
You're listening to the James Well Radio Show. For more information, visit www.jameswellradio.co.uk. Why not check us out on facebook.com/JamesWellRadioShow, or follow James on Twitter at the James Whale. James Whale, the voice of reason.